You're tuned in to Steve Megatron on Altered Geek Unlimited.
Hello and welcome back to Altered Geek Unlimited. I'm your host, Steve Megatron Phillips, and returning to the show for his grand re-entrance after episode 100 is...
It is I, Mike Dodd, the Birdman, you might say.
Followed by my usual co-host,
Michael Boothninja Powers.
Howdy.
Hello.
What has been new with you guys?
I'm excited to be here. Steve, Mike, you've given my Thursday meeting again. I'm ready to love again.
As long as we can validate your parking on your way out.
Exactly. I'm so glad to be back, guys. I've missed you, motherfuckers. And this show was about 70% less foul-mouthed without me here.
I would tend to agree with you there.
Fucking A. Gotta get that quotient up.
Man. So, over the last week, we've, in school, been editing our short film, which I had done most of on my own, with the exception of, because they have a different version of Adobe Premiere at school. They have CC, I have 5.5. So once I work on something, you can import it to that, but you cannot take it back to the older version, obviously, because the way it encodes it. And so I edited a fair portion of the short film, and then we showed it to the teacher yesterday, and he's like, well, this part at the beginning is kind of boring. There's no background sound, there's no music, there's no sound effects. And I'm like, that's because they're in another folder and the director hasn't put them in yet.
I love sound engineering for that type of thing. And you know what? That's something people tend to forget is room tone is so important because otherwise it's just dialogue and sound effects and it makes no sense.
And the funny thing is there were times that we were sitting there waiting to shoot and I'm like, what the hell? And I just started recording the room. Not only for the room tone, but because we were in the lobby of the theater at one point and we had to wait because there were guys actually working and they were trying to close down stuff and get people positioned. I was getting like the tone of the people closing out the cash registers and cleaning out the popcorn machine. So it sounds like people's actually getting popcorn at that part. And there's other people in the theater. And then there was one part in the hallway where we were on the way to the getting in the theater and people were talking outside of the hallway. And it kind of worked out in a sense because... I hear static.
Yeah, can anyone else hear that?
No, I'm crystal clear.
That's strange. So yeah, the hallway I was picking up people talking, and then I had various room tones, I had various sound effects going on, and then we put it all together, and it actually sounded pretty damn cool. So we're just waiting on the music track and then a couple of the quick special effects, and then that beast is done until... funny thing is, after the class ends next week, we have the fall semester to still re-edit it because the music department is going to be scoring the film before it gets submitted to a film fest in December. So that means that I get to be a part of the group to re-edit the soundtrack back into the film. Even though I'm not going to be having that class anymore.
Hey, who knows, man? Maybe it'll go somewhere.
I hope so.
Do you want to stop for a second and figure out where that noise is coming from?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Put my air conditioner on.
That would be it.
Oh, so that's what it is.
That's my room tone.
It's Dodd tone. I thought Vader was in there breathing.
Vader's got asthma today.
I can hear that. So what's been new with you guys?
With myself, I got back from a convention at the end of July, which was pretty kick-ass. I did Con Bravo. I got to work with Andre Meadows, a.k.a. the Black Nerd. Such a fun guy. I got to do some stuff with Linkara from Channel Awesome, which was always a bunch of fun. I've been working on some stuff for TerribleWarriors.com. I'm doing a Mass Effect RPG in about 2 weeks, which is pretty sick. And then I'm working on the anniversary show, so I'm going to do the Elder Scrolls Skyrim using Pathfinder, likely. So I've been replaying Skyrim on my Xbox 360, and I forgot how much of a time suck that game is. Literally, I've been sitting in my bedroom for like most of this week because I've just had a bad week. I've been kind of sick. So I've been doing nothing but playing Skyrim for like 10 hours a day. I'm like, oh, hey, look, it's dark outside. Maybe I should go do something now. So yeah, I've been doing that. What else have I been doing? Got some new interviews coming up, which is pretty neat. And just kind of enjoying summer vacation as it was, because my wife goes back to work in just a few weeks until I lose her during the day.
Yeah, I miss playing video games. I haven't seriously played a video game in months. Like, I don't know, I'm just not interested in them, which is hard for me to say. One of my friends thinks it's just because there's like nothing to play, but every time I sit down in front of my TV, I can see there are games that I have downloaded that I want to play. There are games that I've bought that I want to play, but I basically it started to look like a DVD, my Blu-ray collection, where I just buy them and don't play them. Because I just don't have the desire to play them.
Last game I sat down and played for review was that Rare Replay. That's not bad for Xbox One.
It's on Xbox One, so I could care less. That's all right. I've already decided that if Crackdown 3 does not blow up my skirts, then I'm like going to get rid of my Xbox One. So, because the only reason I still have it was for Crackdown 3, and I wasn't exactly blown away by what they showed so far. So,
I've never been a huge fan of that franchise, which is unfortunate. I wish I could get as much joy out of it as some of my friends do.
I think it's because that was one of my very first Xbox 360 games that it's a thing for me. It's kind of like the infamous franchise on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
I enjoy them. I want to play them. One of the reasons I picked up my Xbox One was because they had that tease, the Crackdown orb tease in the menu selection when they first showed off the Xbox One dashboard. But beyond that, if it doesn't, because I'm gonna need live to play it, so it's not like it's just a $60 investment for me to get it. It's $120 unless it comes with like a week's trial to play it.
Yeah.
Which if that happens, then I will probably end up getting it because I could just redeem that code and play it for a week and be done with it. But that would also require me to actually want to play a game.
Have you beaten Arkham Knight yet?
Haven't even purchased it. I refuse to. So when I see it
right, yeah, 'cause you're waiting for the Game of the Year edition.
Yep. Plus, I haven't heard anything good about the DLC, so.
The Batgirl DLC is not terrible. It's probably the best DLC so far. You'll beat it in about 2 hours.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything to me. The fact that it can be beaten in 2 hours, that's not what I was hoping for.
You can beat Harley Quinn in 15 minutes. Same with
I've watched the entire playthrough, and it's not very.
It's again not worth it to me. Like I was really deep down. I was hoping that the Batgirl DLC would be like the infamous First Light DLC.
Oh my god, that would have been cool.
Where it was you could have, it was an expansion on Second Son, but you could buy it without having to buy Second Son. And it was I loved First Light. That's what I was really hoping it would be, and that's not what it is. So.
Speaking of games like that, they're like expansions. They're talking about doing one for a game that came out earlier this year called Dying Light, which I thought was actually okay. I had a lot of fun with it.
I like Dying Light.
They did a couple of expansions, but they're doing a brand new one supposedly, and it's going to be like a whole new campaign. Like, it'll take you hours to beat. Not just, hey, here's 15 minutes.
Like I really enjoyed Dying Light. The problem is I jumped on it and none of my friends did.
Yep, same here.
So I was playing it and I got to like the second city and I was like, I don't want to get too far into this because I'm trying to get my friends to play it and I don't want to get too far in front of them. So I stopped playing it in the hopes that I could get them to play it, and they never ended up picking it up. So I've just kind of stopped playing it. But I really enjoyed that game because one of the first things I set out and did was I completely broke it with all the glitches and the item duplication. So
Yeah, oh yeah, same here. I was sad when they fixed that.
I have, well, there's still ways to do it. They're just a little more tricky. But I have like 3,000 exploding throwing stars. And I have all of my skill trees maxed out because I glitched the drops. And so basically I can do whatever I want in the game. So even when I run out of supplies, I still have more money than I need to even finish the game. And that, to me, that made it fun, and I was having a lot of fun with it, and I think that's one of my favorite games I've played this year.
I was pleasantly surprised by it, especially when you get to the second city and you get the grappling hook. It's like Batman, but with zombies.
Yep. Kind of like Also, I like the I crafted a katana and I labeled it the six stick because when I hit people with it, not only do they, I cut off like a limb or anything, but when I strike them, they explode into like a haze of acid.
Jesus Christ!
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's like my six stick. So here, take this, and I duplicated that a whole bunch of times, so I don't have to worry about it dying, breaking on me, and going away.
That's awesome, man. Now I want to play that. Like after this podcast, I think I might.
See, I would totally jump out and play with you, but you probably have it on the Xbox One. So,
yep.
So there was that. Geez, I really haven't been doing much this week. Steve, I took the plunge and bought that recording software I said I was going to buy.
Oh, nice.
So I'm actually.
How do you like it?
I'm actually recording this episode at the same time, so I can see how it all works. But the cool thing is, I noticed while I was doing this, I'm able to adjust all the settings to make sure everyone's at the correct volume, so no one's louder than anybody else. And I can move around the recording, because you saw it, I can move around the plugins, if you will, while it's recording, and it still keeps recording.
Oh, nice.
So I can add in effects live and remove them live at the same time.
What program is this?
It's a Mac program called Audio Hijack. They just did a graphical update to it that makes it way more user friendly.
Can you select what like inputs you want to grab?
Yeah,
like,
so it's
say
like,
if I want.
it's based on.
So I could grab just USB audio if I wanted to, or grab Mac audio. Can it specifically grab program audio?
Yes, like I'm grabbing Skype, and my microphone on a separate record. Now, the way it works is like you set up daisy chains. You get a graphical version of a daisy chain. So you start with, I have my microphone, and then I have the Skype, like an application block, and I have that set up to record Skype. And then after that block, I have an output, so it outputs the audio from Skype to my microphone, so I can hear you guys talking to me. And then after that, I've daisy chained into it a volume block, which controls the volume for Skype's output. And then that runs through a peak gauge, so I can see how loud everybody is as it comes through, and then that goes out to a recorder. Now, what I can do is I can set it up so it records the Skype stuff all by itself, and then another recording block on the end of that, so Skype is being recorded twice. And then on the daisy chain for the microphone input, I just have the peak thing so I can see how loud I am, and then that's connected to the recorder. So I can record my microphone and the Skype separately as separate recordings if I wanted to do like really clean audio, or I can, and then still have them dumped to one that's already like pre-mixed. And then there's like there's a ton of other effects that you can add into it. Like I don't know, there's ducking, denoise, dehum, declick, just a bunch of different building blocks. It was like $50. I was like, and I needed something to capture because like I told Steve last week before we started recording, the software I was using, the company stopped supporting it 3 releases of OS 10 ago, and I've just been finding ways to make it work. And finally, with El Capitan, it just broke. So it was time for me to find a new piece of recording software. So I jumped on this, and so far I'm pretty happy with it.
I will have to check that out because I do most of my recording on a Mac too. I've been using Wiretap Studio Pro for like 5 years.
That's what I used, and it the first break it broke with Maverick.
Yep, man, you couldn't record separate inputs.
Well, you could do a microphone and Mac audio.
Yep, that's what I do.
And then with Yosemite, it completely broke. There's a workaround where you can use Soundflower. So I had that set up for a little while, and then I put El Capitan on there, and El Capitan broke Soundflower.
So now that we're boring the fuck out of the audience, but
Yeah.
still, this is interesting as shit. I'm so glad you told me this.
Inside baseball.
There you go, guys.
So yeah, basically I spent the last week learning how to make my other show, Geek Stuff Garagecast. So anyways, that's what I've been doing besides the usual, like learning new things to cook and going to the gym and non-geeky related stuff. I don't know why I'm on this show. I should probably
address
leave.
the big elephant in the room regarding Mike? Mike Blanchard?
Is that their business?
Well, I think we should just let them know, and we wish him well.
Yeah, we could briefly touch on that.
I guess I'll sum it up. Mike is having some trouble with his back, and that's something I can relate to as a bigger dude. So he's going to be taking a little bit of a break till he can get that all sorted out, which is unfortunate because the internet without Blanchard is kind of a weird place. All things considered, because for as long as I've been podcasting, he's been doing it too.
It's a lot friendlier.
It's weird. So hopefully Michael gets better. He's seeing a doctor about it. So I wish him the best. And like I said, it's weird knowing he's not out there doing something every day. It's so strange to me.
Yeah, kind of. I get that too, because it's normally he's always online.
Yeah, they're like, hey, here's 15 podcasts about everything from toenail clippings to aliens or something. He can cover everything. And it's so weird.
Except I don't think he talked about toenail clippings or aliens, so...
I don't know. You get him bored enough.
I don't think he would ever talk about. I could be wrong. Maybe he's a closet Aliens fan, or maybe he is an Aliens fan and I just don't know it. I don't know.
I don't know if he's seen Aliens or not, actually. Because that would be a really easy M-wire, the entire Aliens franchise. Just saying.
So yeah, he's going to be out for a bit. Just send him good wishes and
talk to him on Twitter. Give him some love.
Yes. So, what do we want to talk about as far as all of the random stuff? I guess we could bring up the Luke Skywalker image.
Is it just an image of Luke Skywalker?
Yes.
Mark Hamill in Obi-Wan's clothes.
Yes. So it's Mark Hamill in Jedi garb.
Yes, in traditional Jedi garb, not what he wore in the entire original trilogy. So, and he's got a beard.
Well, I would hope so.
Because that's what old Jedis have.
It's like a requirement. Do you use the Force? Yes. Can you grow a beard? Yes. All right, you're in.
Unless you're Yoda.
It's like that braid that they have is like a pull here to act.
Pull here to activate.
Yeah, tab you get when you buy something that's like battery operated. Yeah, you like pull it so that the battery that's in it can all of a sudden like power on versus like it's slowly draining while it sits in the package.
You know, I just had this really weird thought. I'm thinking, all right, if all the Jedis have beard, do all the Sith not have beards? And I'm thinking, no, wait, Count Dooku had a beard, but he started as a Jedi.
But it was short.
It was hipster beard.
Some of the Jedi didn't have beard.
Oh, yeah, Sam Jackson didn't. That's right.
Neither did Yoda.
Well, he's a Muppet. He doesn't count.
He wasn't always a Muppet.
That's true.
Deeply thinking into this you have.
You know what? Seeing some of the stuff come out for Star Wars Episode 7, I'm finally starting to get excited for it.
Finally? What's taking you so
Force
long?
Friday comes out in like 2 weeks.
I love the memes that are going around though, and everybody's doing the movie box office thing, showing, oh, I made this amount of money, I made this amount of money, and then it says that's nice. You're just the warm up act.
You're just the appetizer.
Man.
I think this is gonna blow away the box office.
Oh yeah.
I don't. See, I don't. Yes, because I want to say I agree because I've worked at a movie theater through. I was working at a movie theater when Episode 3 came out, and I've been at a movie theater for the next big craze that came through, which was like Twilight and all those movies, but nothing has been as much of a ruckus as Episode 3 was for me working at a movie theater. Like, there are people that I work with that are like, man, it's so busy. I'm like, no, you guys have no freaking clue. Like, none whatsoever. And so on one side, I totally agree with you, but at the same time, the numbers for things have been so astronomical. I don't know, even the big stuff that we all thought was going to be huge, those things have still failed to topple Avatar and everything else. So it's yes, I kind of agree, but I think it's going to be really funny. Those movies are going to be really funny if they don't break the Avatar stuff.
I hope it does, but I think it will, more so than the prequel trilogy, just because people will expect greatness from it, being that it's kind of piggybacking on the original.
Yeah, but they were expecting greatness from Episode 1 and everyone got burned.
Yeah, but that was Lucas.
I think the fact that this is unknown territory, the prequels, we always had kind of an idea how things were going to turn out.
That's what I've been preaching since Episode 7 was announced. Exactly what you said is what I've been preaching. So, Episode 7 being you have no idea, there is, because they threw out the expanded universe, so there is no preconception about what Episode 7 could be. You can't have an idea in your head about what Episode 7 could be about, because all of that stuff has been thrown aside. And when Episode 1 came out, everyone had an idea of what Star Wars looked like at that period in time, and had an idea of what they wanted that movie to be and that story to be, and that they didn't get that. So I've been preaching that same thing, but at the same time, I've also been preaching that while I'm really stoked for Episodes 7, 8, and 9 because they're all unknowns, I'm really worried about Star Wars Rogue One, which is based off of one line from Episode 4, and it's kind of how much has that one line been built up in everybody's head? I see Rogue One falling into the Episode 1 trap more so than Episode 7.
I hope it's as awesome as the X-Wing series was. I think it was by Aaron Alston or whatever back in the day. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I hope it's cool.
The one thing I've heard about Rogue One, and I kind of take this with a grain of salt, but it also has me kind of interested, is that it's going to be a Star Wars movie kind of in the vein of Zero Dark 30.
That will be so friggin' cool.
It's a spy kind of,
That's the only thing that I've heard regarding Rogue One, which we should hear more now that Rogue Nation is out. Because I know that they were holding back talking about Rogue One until Rogue Nation hit theaters so that they wouldn't be confusing people in the press.
So basically it's going to be Tom Clancy's Star Wars.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking awesome.
That's about the only thing that could redeem it, honestly.
My God, can you imagine how awesome if we could get a movie like Saving Private Ryan but in Star Wars, or if I could have Republic Commando meets Rainbow Six or something?
Now, do you think the Han Solo movie is necessary?
No.
How is that one? How is that one going to even fly? Because so many people have an idea of who that character is.
This is my thing. They could easily do this in their Star Wars Rebels, because they've already had Lando and Vader, and it takes place 4 years before A New Hope.
But I think they're still going younger because there was.
Well, I mean, is there really a reason to?
No.
Well, there are some good stories in the older Star Wars universe with Han Solo. Like there's Han Solo at Star's End was like a prison son, Han Solo and the Corporate Authority, and I think the Corellian Wars. Although I think that's expanded past F6, I think. So there are good stories to tell. It's just we all have this idea of Han Solo. We all know he's a badass. Give me someone new or someone who isn't Harrison Ford. You know what I mean? Because that's what we're all going to be expecting in some way. An article on Slash Film just has them saying that he's going to be in the high teens, low 20s. Is that the Han Solo that everyone wants to see?
It's the one they think we deserve, but I think they're sadly mistaken.
I want Han Solo at the Indiana Jones age. Not fucking heartthrob Solo.
And do you realize we get... I always forget this. We get episode 7 in December, and then we get Rogue One in May.
Jesus, that's not very long between those movies.
I honestly don't care about Rogue One whatsoever. I know that sounds horrible to say, but I don't.
That's because no one's seen anything
I'm holding off until I see a
yet.
trailer.
I just don't care in general.
Let's see.
I'm fine with them continuing on with episodes 7, 8, 9. I have no interest in a Boba Fett movie, a Han Solo movie, a Rogue One movie, because honestly, if I want to watch anything that's even remotely pertaining to that, I'll watch freaking Rebels.
See, I'm excited for the Boba Fett movie in ways that are so beyond nerd boner, it's astounding.
I don't think there's
I've read all the EU stuff on Fett, and one of the things that got me excited for it is, this is totally obscure, but follow me through. When Star Wars had the role-playing game under West End Games, they had a source book called Bounty Hunters, which is a fantastic source book if you can find it. And it really expanded how bounty hunters work in the Star Wars universe. And it really got me thinking. And then there was the Tales from the Bounty Hunters book that came out in the mid-90s as well, which is like an anthology book. And Boba Fett and the Mandalorians have such a cool history. If they can tap into even a part of that on screen, this movie is going to be fucking balls to the wall awesome.
Has there even been a confirmed Boba Fett movie? Because there isn't one listed on IMDb.
I want to say there has been, because I know, because I see quotes.
They're going to have an Obi-Wan movie.
No, that's not for sure either.
Though?
No, that hasn't been confirmed either. The only two confirmed anthology movies are Rogue One and Han Solo, which supposedly has the slash Boba Fett after it as well.
Maybe it's going to be all one movie.
Maybe Boba Fett.
I don't see. Okay, real quick though, I want to back up because I feel like there might be some people yelling at their MP3 player right now or their computer. Sorry, it's not May 2016. It's December 2016. They're a year apart. That was my mistake.
Thank Christ.
But the following May, there is another. That's when episode 8 comes out. Is the following May. So, and then because they're trying to get the episodes back on the May releases, so you're gonna have it's episode 7's this fall, and then next fall is the first anthology movie. Episode 8 is the following May, and then that December is the second anthology movie, and then supposedly followed like next year there's supposed to be another Star Wars movie or two. I can't remember. They've got them stacked. So
I think Disney's banking on this to be their next big thing. Because I kind of wonder if the Marvel Universe stuff is starting to slow down. Because my theater isn't even carrying Ant-Man anymore.
Well, I don't think their Marvel Universe is really done. I think Fox doesn't know what the hell they're doing with anything other than X-Men.
Well, like one of the things I read this week is Fox is approaching Marvel to say, hey, we want to do an X-Men TV show. We're just waiting on you to give us the okay.
If it's not X Factor we talked about this last week. If it's not X Factor Investigations, I could care less.
I just want to see cool characters I never thought I'd see on screen.
I would like to see them focus on characters that, like you said, not on screen, but, just any of them, really. I mean,
I mean,
I'd almost rather they went back to an animated thing because I really don't see Marvel giving them the okay for a television thing when they want the rights back anyway.
yeah. Now, has anybody here seen the new Fantastic Four, just out of curiosity?
I have. I liked it.
Is it worth paying full price or wait for a cheap day?
See, I like it. I'm not preaching for people to go see it because I can understand people read reviews and people have like a tight budget and all that stuff. So I don't. But if it was me, and also take this with a grain of salt, I work at a movie theater. I got to see it for free. But the way that when I preview a movie, the way I kind of decide if it's worth seeing or not, I kind of go, I would have paid for that. And I walked out of Fantastic Four thinking, yes, I would have paid for that, and I wouldn't have been disappointed. But I also am a fan of Ultimate Fantastic Four, which this relied on heavily. And I only saw one trailer for the movie. I was a fan of the cast and fan of the director. So I was not disappointed. I do feel like it should have been at least 30 to 45 minutes longer. There was stuff removed from this movie because the first, I'll say like 2/3 or 3/4 of the movie, it's firing on most of its cylinders. And then like the end of the movie just like shows up out of nowhere, like, hello, we're done. And it's like you spend 3/4 of the movie getting to the top of the roller coaster, and then it's, instead of it like hitting the climax and going down and going for the ride, you just come down the other side of the hill and it's over.
Screeching halt.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I was just thinking, if Marvel does get the rights back to Fantastic Four, with the way their cinematic uses, with the way the MCU's built right now, do they even need them?
No, and that's what I've seen a lot of those articles. But at the same time, you could use them for like as filler characters, because like, or to name drop them. You know, like that's to me that's like a big thing, because like everyone's talking about. I feel like we're repeating ourselves. I either talked about this on Geek Stuff GarageCast or last week with you, Steve. But everyone's talking about Wolverine 3 being Old Man Logan. And I don't think I don't really care to see that, but I don't care to see how Fox is going to do it, because I don't see how they can do it. Because part of the fun of Old Man Logan is seeing what happened to all of these Marvel characters and how they aged in this world, and Fox has none of those characters that made that story interesting.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how the hell they're going to pull that off.
I mean, they don't even have like the big showdown between Wolverine and Hulk. Like, you can't do that. Or like the Red, was it the, I can't, I only read that story once, but isn't like the Red Skull like a big thing?
Still, I can't remember. I've only ever read it once too. So
I remember like you drive through like Giant Man's skeleton, I think, or some. I don't know. I'm sorry, people that are screaming at the stuff. I've only read it once out of sheer curiosity, but the way I remember, there's just no way that Fox can pull that off without some kind of deal from like Marvel. And a lot of these things, that's the way that the Marvel comics work. You don't get everybody in every book, but you get name dropped.
Yeah, you basically acknowledge their existence within a shared continuity.
Or they just like show up on like a little screen, like, and like maybe, you know, Stark had teleconferences all the time with Xavier and Mr. Fantastic and all, you know, all these other things, and that's the beauty of the comics, is that they just get to name drop and the interconnectivity of it. And I think, no, they don't need to make a Fantastic Four movie, but eventually they're going to get to Phase 4, and you can look how fast they dropped Spider-Man into Civil War. Like, he wasn't supposed to be there. The deal went through, and they dropped him in there. Like, you could, I would imagine it'd be super, super easy to put Fantastic Four in Infinity War. Like, I don't know, but I was just actually off the top of my head just thinking about it. Wouldn't Fantastic Four make for a better TV show?
I would think so.
I wouldn't mind getting a hold of the Rogues Gallery out of the Fantastic Four, because Loki was the big hit of MCU. I think you make Doctor Doom something awesome, or Galactus is the next big cosmic threat. Well,
what happened was they were supposed to get, back before Marvel or Fox was going to lose the rights to Daredevil and Elektra, right? This was like a few years ago. And the discussion on the table was Fox was trying to get a Daredevil movie off the ground, but they wanted an extension on the contract to get it going, and they were offering up the rights to Galactus and Silver Surfer back to Marvel. And then I don't know what. Obviously, we know how that turned out. Fox decided not to take the extension on Daredevil and just let it go back to Marvel Studios, and that got us the awesome Netflix series. And obviously, Fox kept Galactus and Silver Surfer because they kept the Fantastic Four franchise, and those all kind of got bundled together in the original deal. But I think it'd make a great TV show because it's all about the adventures, the crazy adventures they go on. I just don't. I mean, obviously, the Thing poses a slight problem for.
That's why
show.
we have to bring back Herbie. I'm the only one who knows that, aren't I?
Isn't he? I can't remember what he is. Isn't he just like a robot?
Stupid little flying robot that they had to replace the Human Torch with. He has the old Marvel cartoon from like the 70s.
That's crazy.
He was an asshole. Who likes him? Though it would be funny to see them make fun of it, though.
But yeah, I don't think Fantastic Four was like perfect by any means, and you can tell it was chopped up and edited beyond what. I mean, I know there's a whole bunch of he said, she said stuff, and Tranks only had one breakout hit, which was
Chronicle, right?
Chronicle. But I find it really hard to believe that the guy that made Chronicle had final say on how Fantastic Four turned out.
It'll be very. You know what? We probably won't get the real story for like years, but it'll be really interesting when there's like a tell-all about it.
Or maybe you'll get something on the commentary track, because I remember the writers and the producers, like, for the X-Men 3 commentary track, is one of my favorite commentary tracks because they basically come out and say, yeah, this movie sucked. And
I want to go listen to that after
this. They explain how that they were like, nope, this scene was supposed to be here and that was supposed to be there, and yeah, and they even point out like some of like the timing errors, like how it's instantly night at the end of the movie after it was like noon a second before, and they point out all these flaws with the script and the story and how everything went. And I was like, if you guys had made the movie that you're talking about right now, I would love this movie. So basically the way that it worked out was the entire end of the movie where Magneto moves the Golden Gate Bridge was the opening of the movie. And he was moving the bridge to free all the mutants from the prison to start the Brotherhood.
Huh.
So that was supposed to be the opening, and I can only imagine where the movie was supposed to go from there.
That would have been much cooler than the shit that we got.
Yes.
Mind you, I did like Shadowcat and Vinnie Jones as the Juggernaut.
Nope. That I hate. Oh my.
I love that! I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!
I hated that.
Lost my shit hysterically in the theater.
I groaned audibly and wanted to leave.
But Ellen Page was a pretty awesome Shadowcat, though.
No, I mean, I don't think anyone they've ever gotten to play the characters they've got have been the problem. I think it was, the director.
Characterizations they got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. But yeah.
So I wanted to swing back to Star Wars for a minute. So in a couple of weeks, I think I want to say 3 or more, the Force Awakens toys are supposed to hit toy aisles. They're already starting to put out the markers on shelves right now. People are already scalping some of these toys on eBay. They've gotten leaked ones, I guess, samples from China, or maybe advanced reviewers have gotten theirs. I'm trying to get mine right now. But you can get a Kylo Ren toy for $100 and a Flame Trooper for about the same. I gotta say, I really like the look of the Flame Trooper, but ain't no way I'm paying $100 for a figure that will be available at retail in just a few weeks. I'm gonna be very curious to see how Star Wars collecting works out, because the last time a movie came out, Ep3, I bought everything. I had every single figure including all the exclusives from Celebration, from Comic-Con. I even have the George Lucas and Stormtrooper disguise. I might still have him somewhere, I don't know. But I'm curious to see what'll happen, because when Episode 1 came out, the market was flooded with them. They were everywhere. Those toys, basically, you can line bird cages with sealed Episode 1 toys right now. That's how worthless they are. Ep3 had better figures, but once again overproduced, and we had peg warmers with Mon Mothma, Massa Amida, and whatever. But you got really, really good vehicles. And the Star Wars toys have been pretty good ever since. But I don't know. I'm excited to see the toys again. I want to do vehicles and maybe the Star Wars Black series of figures, because they're really cool and they're worth, I think, the $20 that they sell for. They're really nice. They're articulated, great sculpts. I really wish I could have got one of the San Diego Comic-Con First Order Stormtroopers, and I think that figure looks really, really, really cool. But I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the YouTube videos that come out of Force Friday, because there's going to be like grown men, my size, 300-400 pounds, charging the Toys R Us door, looking for like Luke Skywalker and shit. So it'll be interesting.
Oh, keeping with Star Wars, going back for a second, it looks like Disney's trying to pull down that picture of Luke Skywalker.
Too late.
It's on the internet. It's forever.
Too late.
I don't know why they do that stuff.
What, try and pull it down?
I mean,
yes.
Once
it's out, they should just embrace it.
Exactly. I mean, do you remember when...
It's like the Deadpool trailer.
Or the Age of Ultron trailer in October. Embrace it and say, damn, the First Order has struck, or something like that. Have fun with it. Use the hype.
Yep. Don't be a pain in the ass like Warner Brothers. Like, even when they released the Suicide Squad trailer after it was after it was leaked and they released the good one, they still... Did you guys read the letter that they put out with it?
Yeah,
no.
Like, fuck off.
It was like, it said something like, we wanted to give them something special at Comic-Con and we're really sorry that this leaked out, but, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's like, why? Why not just be like, here's the trailer? I don't understand why Comic-Con is this exclusive thing. Like, I've had conversations with my friends about this. Like, E3 comes around, everything gets put up on E3. Like, there's, like, games, everyone eats that stuff up. Like, Comic-Con, for some reason, is still, in the day of the internet, is still this, like, closed off, like, exclusive thing, and they get so mad when stuff gets put up on the internet. I don't understand. But the other thing of it is, what we kind of talk about is, I'd be willing to pay for, like, a pay-per-view access to Comic-Con stuff.
Like, I would too.
Like, okay, fine, maybe,
as long as it was in HD.
But I mean, but I'm kind of saying, like, yeah, okay, fine, yeah, people pay and they sit in line all day at Hall H and they go in there to see this stuff, and yeah, it's something special, and it can be kind of exciting, but I feel like you're just missing that chance to, like, butt hurt the people at home too. And just charge them, like,
all they have to do is wait. If they waited a whole week after Comic-Con ended and then said, hey, here's everything you missed. You know,
I'd be okay if it was a day later, not a week.
Like, or just charge for the stuff.
Or if they want to do something really awesome, do like partnerships. Do it like how Xbox does its E3 briefings and they stream it. Have a console manufacturer or like a service say, here's Comic-Con presented by Netflix or something like that. You like partner up, use the services that are out there. Fuck YouTube. Just have YouTube support it.
Yeah, I just don't see why it's so closed off. Like, I mean, I get it, but in this day and age, like,
it's
everything, once it gets out, it's out.
Their audience.
But they
see dollar signs.
But here's the thing: they're already experimenting with this, right? Because we're seeing the release of we're seeing digital release of movies like 2, sometimes 4 weeks before like the physical copy hits store shelves. Like,
which is really weird to me, but I'm kind of glad that it's happening.
But isn't that but you say it's like old people that don't understand this, but clearly they do. Like,
or it's someone who convinced them, like someone young had to convince someone. But yeah, you're right, because I think Fury Road came out this week, and it releases physically in like a month.
Yeah. And
Well, like I've got some review copies of stuff coming from Warner Brothers, and it's already on their digital that you can buy it and download it. But to get the physical copy, they don't come out till next month.
Charge me for this stuff. Like, fine, you don't want to put it up there. You want something special for people to come see. Fine, but at least like put like a dollar sign on it that I can choose myself. Like, yeah, maybe like I'm just throwing this out there, but like $50 for like a week's worth of like Comic-Con access. Like I get to see like all like it looks like a keynote. When I watch the Apple keynote or something. Like, why not?
But if they were going to charge something like that, it better have the production of, say, a WWE production. And what I mean by that is good coverage, good audio, and it's everything.
Well,
every
I would say
in every room.
Okay, I that one I agree. But for me, like I don't think I need it to be like a WWE pay-per-view event. I mean, I would even be happy with something
You're gonna pay $50.
See, the thing is, I'm paying to get like to see even when I watch like the E3 stuff, I don't care about like the guy on the stage. All I care about is being able to see the game footage that they're showing in HD. Like I don't need like it to be like this spectacular thing. I just need them to when like a trailer goes up, my screen doesn't show like a freaking shot of the audience reaction or anything like that. It's just that.
You want the actual source video as opposed to here's a camera looking at the source.
Yeah, it's like when they do that during like E3 and stuff like that. They'll show it, but they'll cut away and show like the guy like standing there on stage playing the game. Like I don't want to see that. I want to see the game or like the trailer that you're showing me. Like so I don't need it to be like high production. I just need an HD feed of what you're showing the audience. So, and I threw out the $50 thing just because, that it's a studio thing, right? If they were going to do it, that's what they would probably ask for anyways.
Yeah, like if they could find a way to have every exhibitor work together to produce something that we could all look at and we could choose what stream we wanted to watch, yeah, I wouldn't mind throwing down a couple bucks for that.
Well, even if it's just Hall H, because that's where everything is. Like,
yeah.
And I feel like, and the reason I think you set a price point kind of high is because immediately first of all, you might price some people out of it.
Yeah.
And that means that you might not have to like have as much bandwidth overhead, like pay for the internet to support your stream. But, there's lots of things that you can do. And it's just weird to me because Comic-Con's one of those things that I follow. It's weird because I watch all of the Apple conferences. They stream all of those for free. I enjoy watching those, sitting down for 2 hours watching those. And I make sure that I don't work when E3 is on, and I sit on my couch all day long watching like all the talking heads on like IGN and Polygon and all the conferences like all day long for like 3 days. At least this year it was 3 days. Last year it was 2, but I watch all that stuff, and then Comic-Con rolls around, and it's like nothing. Like the internet, and then you're just reading articles about some guy that saw some trailer, and then the worst possible thing happens. The trailer gets leaked from some idiot that had a cell phone, and there are people out there that are fine looking at that stuff, but I never. Like my friends saw like the Deadpool trailer and some other stuff that came out of there, and I was like, "Is it in HD?" And they're like, "No," and I'm like, "I'm not watching it." Because it sounds kind of ridiculous, but that is not the way that trailer is meant to be seen, right? It's not meant to be watched off of someone's cell phone. So, but yeah, so I wait until they release it, but at the same time, it's like I wish there was a way that I could just watch it.
And that's such a market they could tap into, and if they wanted to make Comic-Con an exclusive experience, give people who show up in Hall H something physical. Don't just give them the experience of seeing something visual, because you're going to release it online anyway eventually.
Well, a couple years ago, like when 3D was making its big push, which it's slowly dying, a lot of the trailers in there were like in 3D, and so they gave everyone glasses, so like they got to see like a 3D trailer. I wouldn't expect that at home. Just show me the 2D feed. But there's that air conditioner.
Sorry.
So, moving on a little bit, some that. HBO picks up Sesame Street.
Why? Why, oh god, why?
I caught that this morning, and I was kind of like, what?
I mean,
But they got it for 5
kids.
years. They got it for a 5-year deal.
correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Fraggle Rock an HBO show?
Yes.
Okay, because I remember watching Fraggle Rock when I was a kid, but I didn't realize that it was like HBO, and then I heard when I was older that it may or may not have been an HBO show. Like I didn't know, because I never had, like, after my family moved to Michigan, we never had HBO again unless it was like the free trial weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So like we had HBO when it was just included with your cable subscription. So
I want to know how long until Tyrion Lannister is teaching me the ABCs. That's what I want to know. And when does Arya Stark hang out with Grover?
Well, somebody already had a meme going of True Detective season 3, and it has Bert and Ernie.
That's fucking awesome.
that'll happen as soon as Oscar the Grouch takes a shower.
As soon as he goes to a rehab.
Well, it's not. Excuse me. It's not just on HBO though. Like, there's a 9-month. Like, it's basically after 9 months, then those episodes get aired on PBS. Like, it's shared.
Yeah. Well, they're basically leasing it from. They get first dibs at it.
Well, I think what it might be too is maybe HBO's kind of saving it.
I guess they can put a lot
because they
more
have the
into
money.
it.
Yeah, well, I mean, HBO. I mean, I would look at it that way. Maybe HBO is kind of saving it, and that way it's not like asking everyone to dip into their, dip in. You know, they don't have to, from viewers like you. Now it's all the viewers that subscribe to HBO and to watch all the adult content. They're paying for children's education television. So I mean, I don't have fond memories of Sesame Street either way. I don't remember watching it all that much.
I do.
I don't. And I don't remember watching a whole lot of like that stuff when I was. I mean, I'm sure I did. Like I said, I watched Fraggle Rock, but I don't like. I don't. I don't remember.
Elmo wants to sit on the Game of Thrones.
Jeez.
Elmo's Red Wedding. Amazing.
I know enough of Sesame Street. We used to watch it as kids, and then my son watches it once in a while, and he expects
Sesame Park up here in Canada. We had like a discount Sesame Street where it was Basil and some other bear-looking motherfucker. I can't remember. He was a bear and this little dude. But it was in the same universe as Sesame Street, so Bert and Ernie would show up, or Big Bird and shit. It was on CBC up here, and they had French-Canadian parts too, where you'd learn French.
So, being that Blanchard's MIA for a little bit as far as your wrestling podcast, and I have no usual interest in wrestling, but since Green Arrow is in the show temporarily for the two
Arrow
shots.
versus Stardust, that's so ridiculous.
Now, have you seen the clip that came out?
Not yet, actually. I usually watch Raw over the weekends now, but I know Amel had been pushing for this for months. They're going to have an official match at SummerSlam. I guess it's next weekend. So that'll be interesting to see how that all turns out.
Well, I find it interesting because, like earlier this week, they showed, the confrontation. He stands there kind of looking Arrow-esque. Stephen Amell does, and then Stardust comes up and bitch slaps him, and then Stephen Amell, runs and then literally, jumps off the top of the thing and then starts wailing on him. But the whole confrontation, because I just watched the YouTube cut together of everything that happened when he was on it, but it's hilarious to watch, even though all that shit's played out anyway. But it's still funny to watch. I'm looking forward to seeing how it comes together in the SummerSlam thing, but still, it's It's the only reason I will actually pay attention. Good.
Well, if you want, since I guess Blanchard won't be doing the wrestling podcast, we might get an episode out for SummerSlam if he's feeling better. But if you want to watch it, I can give you my WWE Network password. You can watch the whole match if you like.
Sweet. Yeah, then we can talk about that. That'll be funny. So do we want to take a break, go to the questions and comments, and then go from there?
Yes!
Alrighty. So we will be back right after this quick break. Want to interact with the show? You can contact us in the following ways. You can call the voicemail line 502-526-5821. You can email us feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can visit the episode post on geekcastradio.com or alteredgeek.com. You can get a hold of us on Twitter @alteredgeek. Look for us every week on geekcastradio.com, of course, Stitcher Smart Radio, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and alteredgeek.com. And now, back to the show. And we're back. So, we got a couple comments and questions since last week. I'll do some particular ones first. Brad Lincoln says, first, congrats on 100 episodes in 2 years doing the podcast. Regarding the Stardust and Arrow crossover, it's all be scripted from the start. And then he goes to explain the Cody Rhodes Stardust being a comic fan, and then their whole family, their family history of it. And then says that it started with, them going back and forth on Twitter, and then it basically just says that what we already know, that they're going to have the match. Haley Bailey says, someone said the show went downhill. Whoever said that don't listen to them. They're idiots. I love this show and keep doing what you're doing. People are ridiculous to say such things. Congrats on 100, and here is for 100 more.
So who's the guy who said that you suck?
I don't know. It had been said on not only iTunes, but somewhere on the website at one point.
It was me.
Fuck that guy. Right?
I don't know. There was a point in time where I was not all there in the head when I was recording, and then it took forever to get back into the groove. And
Steve, you all know the reason why it sucked. Because I wasn't here.
Oh yeah, that's just
That's
everything.
Right. I have the star power. Just saying. Once again, get my Thursday's meeting.
Yeah, don't be Stardust.
The cosmic key.
I would have to throw you away for that. Beyond Humor says, I thought Mike brought up a good point, too, on how we aren't getting a Firefly series. He says, because, like he said, it's got a cult following like no other. And this kind of ties into their whole reboot thing that Justin Washington says, I'm the only one that finds it weird that when movies reboot or make a sequel to an old show, they get hated on by fans, but when TV series do it, people have nothing but good things to say.
I don't know if that's universally true.
Here's what I think it is. I think what happens with the movies is that a lot of times it's a TV show being rebooted as a movie. Sometimes. No, I shouldn't have said a lot of times, but sometimes it's a TV show being rebooted as a movie, which that might be like a hard sell for some people. They might not get it. Also, like Miami Vice, for instance.
Mission Impossible, right?
Mission Impossible works though. The other way to look at it is like when you get you reboot a movie. Like look what's happening with Ghostbusters right now. Like that movie is getting thrashed for no reason. Like there is no reason to hate on that movie.
They're keeping true to it, other than the fact. Well, they're keeping true to it, other than the fact that they're female instead of male.
And anyone that has if that is anyone's sole problem with it, I don't want to be friends with those people.
I know it's such a stupid reason.
Like I couldn't believe they got shit for visiting a children's hospital.
Like I think it's okay, fine. Maybe the movie comes out and it sucks, but guess what? Nobody's seen it, so nobody has a reason to hate on it yet, other than you're just being jerks about the whole thing. And I can I like Ghostbusters, and I want to see more of it. And if this is how I get to see it, that's fine.
Yeah, hardcore. I'm looking forward to the new Ghostbusters merch. I'm glad for it to come back for a new generation.
And
Fuck yeah, Ghostbusters.
And they're still going to have cameos from the guys that are still around.
I mean, and it's I've said it before on like Facebook and stuff like that. People are like, I'm not going to go see this movie. It's not going to matter. It doesn't need your money. Like, there are enough people that are going to go see it that it's not going to matter.
And you know what? I'll bet you half those people that say I'm not going to see it, bullshit. You're just going to wait and see it.
Or you'll see it and won't say anything about it.
I hope it's fantastic, just to shut people the fuck up.
So there's that, but I think what's going on with like TV, anyways, from what I've been able to gather, is they suggested Twin Peaks,
X-Files, like how they're bringing back Prison Break, they're bringing back Xena, Fresh Prince.
All right, now these ones,
I think, getting a total reboot.
Okay. But outside of, I'm going to say, because I haven't really followed the Xena one. I know that I saw the article today, but I haven't really followed it.
Well, they basically greenlit it with Sam Raimi.
Okay, well then that works.
But there's no writers.
Okay, then that works with what I was going to say here. I think the TV shows that are coming back, the reason that everyone's getting excited is because it's not that it's just coming back for the sake. It's the original people bringing it back. It's kind of like I like Hawaii Five-0, like the new one, but I don't have any baggage from the old one. I never saw the old one, but I know that they're like connected, like very loosely connected. Like it's kind of like it's not really like a reboot. It's more like a sequel thing, but it's completely different showrunners and stuff like that, right? But from what I know of all these shows that were listed, it's the same like writers and the showrunner. Like those guys just want to come back and do more of those successful shows. I think if somebody wanted to come back and do like X-Files, but like recast Mulder and Scully and not have like the same writer or showrunners, I think then people would be pissed.
Yeah. And I kind of agree with you, because I mean, look at the success that, for instance, Girl Meets World has gotten.
Yep.
And it's based off of, it takes place in real time with Boy Meets World. They got Fuller House, which is going to be the same deal. And then, just like you said, all of these that are coming out, it's the same people that are running the shows that ran them, when they came out 10, 15, 20 years ago.
It worked, because you take it back the other way with the movies. We're just talking about Ghostbusters. People are hating on it because it's not the original cast, which it can never be the original cast now. It's not the directors or anything like that. It's like completely new, and that scares people. Versus like, at least with these properties that are being retooled or just, I won't even say rebooted, I'll just say, or sequels, they're just being extended. It's fun. Like when Legend of Korra came out, like nobody had anything really bad to say about it. I mean, I can say some things about it, but there wasn't anything bad to say about it because it was the same creators as did Last Airbender. It wasn't just Nickelodeon going for the cash grab and making more Airbender. It was, the creative team behind the original success wanted to come back and do more, and that's all I see happening here. And I think that's why people don't get mad about it. Sorry,
go ahead and finish.
No, I was done.
Okay. I was going to say, well, I mean, it's the same instance with, for instance, Heroes Reborn.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the biggest fan of that whole carnival thing they did at the end, but like that last scene that they did with, Claire exposing herself to the world of, the powers, and then the show ended, abruptly at that point because it got canceled. And then this show picking up 5 years later, or, in real time from when the other show ended, it kind of makes sense. And then they're also doing shorter seasons, which goes with our thoughts on that whole thing that we've talked about numerous times. But
although X-Files scares me with regards to that, because it is a shorter season, and I thought that was going to mean we're going to get like hardcore X-Files, but they said that they're still doing Monster of the Week.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that either. I want the mythology to be concluded, or at least.
Well, that's going to happen, but they still said some of them are going to be like filler episodes, and I think that might be to maintain the feel of the show.
I can see that.
Rather than
they're going to bring back the Lone Gunman too.
Yes.
Which they've done in the comics, which thrills me to no end.
So,
So I mean, like, I'm looking forward to a lot of these reboots or sequels to the originals, just because it's a lot of the same showrunners. And I try not to, because I've been one of those guys that kind of shits on the pot of the films a lot of the time, and I don't try to do it, I think it kind of goes along with that same thing we've talked about of, new people, new everybody. It scares the crap out of you, but you don't know what they're capable of until you see them at least try it. Now, if they fail the first time, at it, then yeah, I don't want to see them do it again. But if they do it good, then, great, run with it. But I don't want to see what happened to the Star Trek sequel happen with any of these either. I would be perfectly happy seeing somebody bring it back and then somebody else keep taking it and running with it.
Yeah, like I have to stress again, as I've done many, many times, new stuff doesn't mean your old stuff goes away. Chances are it means you get a better version of your old stuff.
Look at action figures.
Or like maybe you get like a new Blu-ray release of your classic movie that has a free movie ticket for the new one.
I know that was the case with some of my Transformers stuff. And G.I. Joe. I bought G.I. Joe seasons of the animated series and got the tickets to the movie before.
So,
So I mean, yeah, that's. I think that kind of summed it up as far as.
Yeah, that's my long-winded answer.
I just want someone to reboot two things. I just want more Captain Power. I know it's supposed to happen at some point. And I'd like to see someone revisit Sliders, especially now that there's more money and the special effects have really improved.
Hasn't there been a rumor of that coming back, or was that a different show?
I want to see. I think we're getting this in movies. I want to see Robotech.
Fuck yes.
Like I want to see a live action Macross or Robotech. That's what I really want to see.
I want to see the second part of Robotech, the Southern Cross arc.
Oh yeah.
I just want to see those motorbikes. That's gonna be so cool.
What was the movie? What was the giant robot thing that everyone got up in arms about? Gundam. Michael Bay doing Gundam.
That would I don't know what version of Gundam he would do. I mean, is he following? Because there's so many different Gundam continuities.
Well, it doesn't even matter.
I want Universal Century personally.
Well, we don't even have to get into that part because people automatically like thrashed it because it was Michael Bay. But my argument was, it's Michael Bay. I'm going to go see it. Like, I like his movies. Like, I like the action in his movies. I think he's really good at that.
He's good at action, but he's terrible at. Yeah,
but Pain and Gain was pretty good, and I'm looking forward to what he does. The next one he's doing, I can't remember the name of it, and like I like the Bad Boy stuff, and that has character in it. But when I think of like these when I first thought, and this is blasphemy, I know people love Transformers, but when I first heard that he was announced to be the director of Transformers, I was like, awesome. Giant robots blowing shit up, and that's what I got with a little bit of stuff, Shia LaBeouf being Shia LaBeouf sprinkled in there, and Megan Fox. So that's one of the reasons why I was never disappointed, because that's all I was expecting, and that's what he gave me. Like, I guess I know where I stand with like a Michael Bay movie, and therefore it's like I'm never like shocked when I go to see his stuff. So if he did Gundam, I've never seen an episode of Gundam, so I would have nothing to compare it to. So I'm pretty sure I'd just go into this and be like, hell yeah, that was a fun ride.
You know what I think he'd be a better universe for? If Michael Bay could do MechWarrior / Battletech.
Well,
I would get behind that.
I was actually going to say, just taking it back real quick, I was going to throw his name in there as who I would like to see do like a Robotech or a Macross, because he likes that military porn.
Yeah.
Him or Peter
Spielberg could do it.
Him or Peter Berg. Peter Berg is really good with military porn too. So
I'm not too
be cool. I'm just saying this just for the sake of awesome. If they went the practical route like Abrams did, just to see a Veritech sitting on a tarmac somewhere. Just to know that's real brings me so much joy.
Oh, that's why I'm saying like those two guys are like, I would like to see them do it, because I think that they would give you that shot.
Just to have the intro recreated shot for shot, even if it was just during the ending credits, that would be so cool. I'm nerding out over here, guys. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with necessarily rebooting everything. It's just doing it right is kind of the thing.
See, the thing is, people just jump on stuff before they even know if it's been done right.
Yeah.
That's
And then I agree.
Like I at this point in my life, I'm just willing to give everything the benefit of the doubt, especially if it's a property that I already enjoy. Like, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. If you screw it up, yeah, we'll have words. But if you know, I'm not gonna say that you're not doing it right because you've never made one before. So.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, the same token, like I said before, with the Star Wars thing. Now, will I probably see those movies? Probably. Will I see them in theater? Probably not. I'll see the episode ones, the numbered episodes in theater, because it's continuing my Luke Skywalker story, but it's not, you know, that whole storyline of that. I don't really care for the in the middle films, and those will probably be my DVD releases. Same thing with the new Fantastic Four. I have no interest in seeing it, but I will end up watching it once it comes to DVD.
I'm bummed that one of the anthology films for Star Wars hasn't been announced as Shadows of the Empire yet.
I wish they would have done something like that, because that would have been intelligent of them.
That has Boba Fett in it.
That would have been a better Boba Fett movie.
I mean, they already put the Outrider in Episode 4, so why not just dash Rendar altogether?
I want this.
That would make more sense, actually.
But they got rid of all of that stuff, so...
Time to do that would have been 20 years ago, though. But still, point taken.
They're good with CG. Look what they did with Michael Douglas and Ant-Man.
Not even that. You could have, like, the stuff in Shadows of the Empire with the original cast is so thin anyways, you could have easily removed those guys.
I guess that's true, yeah, if you focused purely on Dash.
Yep.
Or I could have just CG'd them younger. For the quick little bits that they're in there.
Yeah. That it wouldn't even have been worth that. It would have been better just to cut them, because isn't the only one that actually shows up in the face. See, it was so hard because it's an N64 game, right? Or for me, anyways, it was an N64 game. But like
Luke
the one
shows
time,
up, Han shows up, and Leia shows up.
but doesn't Luke just show up on Tatooine, like outside his house?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. It just says, "Thanks for saving me from that swoop gang. Fuck off now."
Yeah, and just gives you like a speeder bike. So there's like you could get a speeder bike from anywhere on Tatooine. So
They just park them on everywhere.
Watto.
So I want to see a movie about shooting womp rats.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Give me a Fast and the Furious movie involving speeder bikes, and I'm there day one.
So, I was just briefly before we close out, I was reading the thing about the Heroes Reborn and what they were explaining why certain characters weren't returning.
They killed Claire.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe that. They're like, yeah, she died a year into the 5-year thing.
She was hit by a bus.
They better explain why.
Well, they are. It says that for instance, one of the main reasons that Claire is not among the returning cast members is in the real world of the story, her character died a year prior to our story starting. Oh, so she died like 4 years in. It says that gets into some of the mythology that's attached to the original show. It says her father, HRG, will act as a guide for new viewers in unveiling some of the backstory from the original run of basically what happens to all the characters that are not among us.
So we got Ali Larder's character.
Well, she became a different character.
Yeah,
in
she
season
became
3.
the ice chick.
Yeah, but I think something happened to her too. There was a lot of people kind of died before the end of the 4th season.
I'm just glad they're going to bring back Hero.
They're bringing back Hero. They're bringing back HRG, Angela Petrelli,
Mohinder.
Dr. Suresh.
Micah, I think, was his name.
Micah, he's in the videos that are attached to the Heroes Reborn app that you have to download to watch these 5 like mini-sodes that kind of bridge just before Heroes Reborn starts. And then there's the
Haitian.
well, the Haitian's going to be back with HRG, and because he's going to help him get back in the groove, and then Parkman's going to be the opposition.
You know who would be cool to bring back? She was only ever in one episode of the show, I think. But it was the chick with photographic memory.
Wasn't that?
That was the one that was watching Micah. After.
Yeah. She could see something on TV and she could do it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That chick would be awesome. She's basically fucking Taskmaster.
So I'm reading a /film article here about this, basically the same thing you guys are talking about right now, but they're not even going to address Sylar.
Which I think is a mistake.
At least give us something. Like, even if it's opening narration saying he died or something.
The article says he's too big of a character to even deal with, that even mentioning him in here would just send people thinking down the wrong path and wanting to see like the wrong thing. Like, because they couldn't get Quinto to come back, they can't put him in there or mention him because people will want them to steer the story into why he's not there.
I guess it's kind of like having Star Wars but without Darth Vader, sort of thing.
Well, because I mean,
I like
they got to almost explain what happened to Peter, what happened to Sylar, what happened to half the cast that was in the show. It
sounds like everyone that couldn't come back just dies in this June 13th event.
Which I kind of find it hard to believe that Claire, Sylar, or Peter would have died.
Well, it says Claire can be killed if her brain is destroyed. So whatever happened on June 13th, that damaged her brain. So that's how she died.
If you blow her head off, she ain't coming back.
Well, you cut her head off too.
They don't even say that. Like, the article goes on to mention Sylar by himself in his own paragraph. Like, he wasn't even in the June 13th attack. He's just not even. They're not even mentioning him. Which that is the whole reason I watched all of Heroes.
Well, I'm hoping that if this does well, that they can hopefully coax him and Peter back in for a next season.
I'm surprised the guy who plays Peter, Milo Ventimiglia, would do it, because it's not like you're doing much, kid.
Yeah. I mean, he's playing bit parts and everything. I mean, for Christ's sake, he was in like Gamer, and he was in that Adam Sandler movie, and he's always playing a weirdo.
So the thing with Heroes, and I'm interested to see what you guys think here, I always thought that it could benefit from like an interesting, like with season finales being a movie, like a feature film, kind of like how the first X-Files movie was the season finale for season 7 or 8?
It would have been 5, actually.
Was it 5?
Yeah, it was 5.
Okay. It's been so long since I've watched that series and watched that film, but I always thought that this series could have benefited from that, especially since you have these characters that have these bigger powers that you can't show
full range.
Yeah, you can't show them in full range on a TV show. I thought it would have been great if the season finales would have been like a feature film or a made-for-TV movie, if you will, that let them cut loose with all this stuff. Because I remember...
Maybe have a shorter season, but give us a TV movie.
Well, like, the first episode back is a 2-hour premiere.
Well, I remember there's one episode, there's a few episodes actually, but the one episode that stands out in my mind, there's an episode where they travel to the future, and Peter is ridiculously strong and Sylar is ridiculously strong, and they're about to face off like against each other, and they go in a room and close the door, and all you get is a flashing light under the door. Do you remember this, Steve?
Yes, I just watched that. I just watched that. Suresh is in there and tells Hero what he needs to know, and him and Ando go back to the past.
Yep. Like, I was like, that was ridiculous. Like, you want to see them go toe-to-toe, and you never got to see that. So
I will say that this Heroes Reborn, as far as what we've seen so far of the production value, looks a lot higher than what we got the last time.
Well, that's that shorter season for you.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that the special effects and everything else, like, because even even graphically, like the detail on the people themselves and the surroundings look much more detailed than it was the first time around. So, because I'm rewatching the entire show with my wife right now in prep for the revival of this.
You know,
I should do that myself, actually.
Because we're in the third season right now, and it's getting into the, you know, they've discovered who Adam Monroe is, and
You know, I really liked season 3 of that show.
I hated it once it hit the point where they neutered Peter.
Yeah,
of his powers, and then
they killed Ellie or whatever.
Well, it wasn't even that. I didn't care about her all that much. It was when they neutered Peter and made him so he could only hold one power at a time.
Yeah.
And then they had all these random people they were trying to introduce that didn't mean anything ultimately, and then they had the carnival.
What?
See,
Sorry,
Mike, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, they had such an interesting idea where they called it villains, and there was that German dude and all these other superpowered psychos, and it never went anywhere.
Well, I'm at the part where future Peter shot his brother, and because he was going to tell the world about them, and then he starts thinking that it was a gift from God that he survived, and then Angela Petrelli figures out that that's not the correct Peter of the timeline, and you see Peter locked in the one of those psychos' bodies, and HRG's locked in the same facility.
Yeah, I remember all that.
Yeah.
For me, I remember the show never quite lived up to. It became a victim of its own success, is what happened to Heroes. Because one of the things early on was each season was this was supposed to be one of the original like anthology series on television. That is so popular right now with like American Horror Story and True Detective, and I think there's another one out there. But this was originally supposed to be one of those shows, and the first season ended and you had all these popular. The second season was supposed to focus on a completely different set of heroes. Technically a completely different problem. The problem is it was a victim of its own success, and they brought back all those characters, which is why like Ali Larder came back, even if it was just as a different person.
And Nathan Petrelli, that actor.
Yep, they brought them all back because it was just like, well, people like these characters, so let's bring them back. They didn't have the guts to do their original vision.
To let them stay dead and move on.
Yep.
Because like even Sylar technically would have been dead by the end of the first season.
So
and Peter and everybody else, really.
But see, he was like the perfect villain for season 1, and then they didn't know what to do with him after season 1, except he was still an awesome character.
Well, they neutered him for season 2.
So,
but yeah, I mean, I'm hopeful, and I think that they may actually go that route this time now that they've seen the success of it. And considering the fact that the entire cast, other than because they've even made it plenty clear that basically it's going to be HRG, the Haitian, Mohinder, and Hero that are the main original cast that are returning. Parkman's got like a brief couple episode arc, and then Petrelli the same thing, but like everybody else from the old show is just not in it. So I mean, they're still going to be predominantly the new show. It's just I think HRG is going to be the driving force, and Hero will be too.
It'll be interesting. It's on my list.
Yep, it's on my list. I definitely want to see it. So, anything you guys want to pip out before we go?
Yeah, I should be doing some more episodes of Botched Roll. I've got one planned. I might record it this weekend called And I Have So Many Books, where I'm going to talk about source books and lore, what they can add to a game, or how they can frustrate the hell out of you. Also, we just did our topic show for the month of July. I know it's late. We did DC Animated. We're working on Mystery Science Theater 3000 for this episode, which I think should be a lot of fun. And then I think we're going to do the Fallout games, which I think should be pretty fun. The Fallout universe and prep for Fallout 4. Other than that, same old, just podcasting because I can.
Nice.
I've still got my show, Geek Stuff Garagecast, with Joe and Danner and Chauncey from the old Off the Cuff show. And just like Mike or Dodd needed us to validate his existence, We really appreciate it. If there's any GeekCast radio listeners that are actually listening to our podcast and subscribe on iTunes, we would be happy to get just like a rating or like even a review if you have the time, just to validate our existence. We know there are people.
We also take bribes and nudes. Just saying.
We do, but yeah, we have pretty good ways of seeing the numbers, and they are there. But we only have one review for 11 shows, and we know we've had a number of downloads, so kind of bummed out about it. But we're still going to keep going, not getting discouraged or nothing. So yeah, that usually hits whenever I decide to post an episode. But there is a new one this week, so we talk about our favorite movie action sequences.
Nice.
Which got a little hype. It was my idea for the episode, and so I kind of took it from this. I took a pretentious standpoint. So we mentioned all this like kind of obscure action scenes, if you will. I mean, some of them are pretty well known, but we kind of took like a highbrow, pretentious look at action sequences instead of like just getting down and dirty like we normally would, and mentioning stuff like in Fast and the Furious and some other cool set pieces like that. But so it's a little different for us. But yeah, new episode this week.
Awesome. And I'll probably have some kind of a preview thing of things to come for All Things Transformers, which I am reviving. I don't know how soon some of that content's going to come. They will definitely be shorter episode structure. I will also be doing kind of a brief intro to the concept of the Dragon Ball Z podcast that I have ideas for, which I'll get a hold of you later for that, Dodd. But yeah, for the most part, that's it. So thank you, as always, for joining us in our journey to the Age of the Geek. So as always, get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks.
At Birdman Dodd on Twitter. Validate my existence.